Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 276 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Today, there's kind of a to all of this today because once again we tried to do this from the other computer, but today for some reason it's the camera that will not work. And
Mike sounded great though. Audio was perfect. There was just no video, and this is
while we were not live though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because yesterday it sounded good. Although here's the thing, it sounded better this morning than it did yesterday morning in the green room.
Okay.
So there's a step in the right direction. We just need to get the visual.
I did not touch a thing.
I know.
I didn't even turn the computer off. I just put it on sleep.
Yeah,
nothing should have changed.
We'll troubleshoot it this evening. We'll do a reboot, and we'll see if we can get the new mic operational and the software, and we'll see what we can do. We'll make some magic somehow.
Why do inanimate objects not like me so suddenly?
I don't
know why.
Solar flares. That's the only thing I can come up with.
What have I done to you? Oh, anyway, today recording day is Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, and we actually have a little bit of snow on the ground here at the Beaver Lodge. Last night around 11 o'clock, big, wet snow started falling, and just a light dusting. Just enough to make it look a little wintry in December, finally, on the 19th. I'm old enough to remember a few weeks ago when the conservatives were laughing at us progressives because some people were talking about the future generations maybe knowing a white Christmas as a rare thing. Okay. If we do get a white Christmas, it's going to be barely. Okay. It happens, people. It happens, right? It's like, and tell that to the Olympians who have been worrying for the last, 12 years about whether or not, stuff like bobsleigh and luge that they can't do indoors, whether or not their sports are just going to disappear. But we're the crazy ones, right? Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to fix my camera. Bear with me. I'll be
just to make it goes into the Beaververse. All right. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Tuesday morning nibble for you. But before we do anything else, let's ask Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health doing today, sir?
Well, good morning, Mr. Beaver. I think my mental health is doing pretty good, actually. I feel like I didn't sleep a wink, and I did. I got a full night's sleep, but it certainly didn't feel like it. So I don't, every morning the last few weeks I've waken up feeling like haven't slept at all, feel like somebody beat the living hell out of me in my sleep. I've had rough dreams though, so that might be what it is. I just don't know. But mental health wise, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Oh, here, check this out. Look at that. I'll just throw this on the screen real quickly. Looks like we did get some snow here in Canada's capital. I wasn't. I didn't look out the window. I just got up and started working right away.
Yeah, that's about what it looks like here. Just that little dusting.
Well, it'd be nice if it sticks around for the next few days, but I don't even know what the forecast is. It says temps to drop, so that's promising, I guess.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'd like a white Christmas. And that's got nothing to do with the color of my skin, okay? It's not what it is. Just don't. No, it's snow. It's snow on the ground at Christmas time.
Hey,
People get
there's
ridiculous.
some people, in some people's mouths, that song "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas" takes on a whole different meaning. I'm just saying.
I wish you were correct. Sadly, you very much are, sir. You very much are.
Just saying. All right. Kits, as always, because I had all my tabs set up on the other computer and had to rush over here, I've got nothing set up, so this one's going to be flying by the seat of my pants.
That's fine. We can do that. We've done it before. We'll do it again.
I'm doing better. Thank you very much. A lot of kits reached out yesterday. Kit Dan, thank you. Kit James. I haven't had a time. Kit Frankie, I haven't had a time to return all of your messages, but know that I got them. And I thank you for taking extra time to reach out and make sure I'm okay. I am okay. Understand. Just hit a speed bump or two. But I'm okay. And yesterday was a better day, and I did have better perspective on a couple of things.
That's good.
So, the moments that I thought I misperceived as my authority and my expertise not being respected was not necessarily the case. And, so.
Were you just hungry like I was last
knew
week?
that, but I didn't know that during that stuff, especially at 3-something in the morning when your mind is reeling. So, but I am doing better. My spirit is better. My mood is better. So, thanks. I do appreciate everything you have done. And the Ray girl.
Yes.
You know how to put
Once
some
again.
sunshine in someone's day.
Yeah. Once again.
So we got a lovely Christmas gift yesterday. So thank you very much. All right.
I have something for you quickly here.
Okay, absolutely.
This is in the spirit of the season, and this is for people like the Conservative Party of Canada, Pierre Poilievre, the Reform Party of Canada, actually, because let's face it, they're not the Conservative Party. And I tweeted a story from it's the National Observer about the merger. This right-wing merger was a tragedy. It was written and released yesterday, December 18th. Yeah, that was yesterday. I had to double check. And this kind of falls in line with it. This tweet from Janie Godley, who is, as it turns out, I'm not familiar with her, but I'm gonna follow her now. Spirit of Glasgow Comedy Award winner, chosen by Sir Billy Connolly, actor, author, comic, hated by right-wing transphobes. I like her already. She posted this yesterday with, I think this is Jacob Rees-Mogg, but I could be incorrect in the GIF. And you can't worship a baby in a manger if you ignore one in a food bank. And that's, so here's where I go with that. You can't worship a baby in a manger if you refuse to feed children in school.
Absolutely.
And Skippy will do something like he does at Easter. He is risen, and then have his face. And I remember I showed that to my mother, who is a very religious Catholic woman, who goes to church every Sunday. She volunteers at the church. I mean, my mom's a super Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And when I showed her the picture, the one I'm talking about, where it's it's got the 3 crucifixes, he is risen, and Pierre Poilievre, your member of parliament. I said, Mom, this, and she just about lost it. She's like, no, you do not do that. I'm like, exactly. That's who this person is. Like, there's so many Canadians that do not recognize or understand or have been told who these people really are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's our job to start getting that message out there, because if more, my mom used to like Andrew Scheer because he used to go to her church. And then when she saw him giving thumbs up and high fives to the truckers, she's like, nope, he's dead to me now. I said, Mom, I told you, he's not a good person. She goes, but he always goes. I go, Mom, lots of people go to church that aren't good people. There are a lot of church-going Christians that are not good people. Andrew Scheer is not a good person. Pierre Poilievre is not a good person. They do not have Canadian interests in mind. They're, I think for the most part, Pierre Poilievre is a Russian agent, a Russian asset. I mean, certainly looks like it. The paint by numbers is forming that painting. So anyway, did you see yesterday with the Pope, what he did?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, let me see if I can find, you'll like this. Whoops, it's P-O-P-E, not P-O-P-R. I'm trying to look up the story. So the Pope, people are outraged that Pope Francis has allowed blessing LGBTQ marriage.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, he's blessing. He's like, that's it. The Lord wins in the end. Pope Francis. Sorry, that's a different thing. I'm trying to find where he did it. The Catholic Church. If you think the Pope is pro-Palestinian, wait until you meet Jesus. I don't even know what that means. Dear straight people, you can ask LGBTQ people how they feel and what they think about the Pope's announcement. You can tell us what you feel and think about it. You cannot tell us how we should feel or what we should think about it. And that's from Reverend Daniel, who is he's Anglican minister, I believe, is he not?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Married, gay, married, Anglican priest. Yeah, Anglican priest, Reverend Daniel. I like what he has to say. I've been following him for a long time. He's a good guy. He's a really
cool
good
Rev.
guy. Cool Rev. Yeah.
I call him Cool Rev. But yeah, they had started talking about this back in October. I'm not sure if I had mentioned it on the show, but around October 2nd. This is according to the CBC here. It says blessings for same-sex unions possible in Catholicism. Pope Francis wrote to conservative cardinals. So he's been telegraphing that this is going to be happening. He published, he says on Monday, so probably around in early October, around the time this article was written, or end of September, published a letter to cardinals. Oh, sorry. The Vatican published the letter, but the letter was written on July 11th. After receiving a list of 5 questions, or a dubia, what they call them, from a day earlier. In it, Pope Francis suggested that such blessings could be studied if they didn't confuse the blessings with sacramental marriage. New Ways Ministry, which advocates for LGBTQ Catholics, said the letter, quote, significantly advances efforts to make LGBTQ Catholics welcome in the church and is one big straw towards breaking the camel's back in their marginalization. The Vatican holds that marriage is an indissoluble union between man and a woman. As a result, it has long opposed gay marriage. But even Francis has voiced support for civil laws extending legal benefits to same-sex spouses, and Catholic priests in part of Europe have been blessing same-sex unions without Vatican censure. So he basically says it calls for pastoral charity. So the 5 cardinals, all of them conservative prelates from Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas, has challenged Francis to affirm church teaching on gays, women's ordination, the authority of the Pope, and other issues in their letter. And in his response, Francis reiterated that marriage is a union between a man and a woman, and that, quote, other forms of union realize it only in a partial and analogous way. But he added that, quote, pastoral charity requires patience and understanding, and that priests cannot become judges, quote, who only deny, reject, and exclude. Quote, although there are situations that are not morally acceptable from an objective point of view, the same pastoral charity requires us not to simply treat as, quote, sinners or other people whose guilt or responsibility may be mitigated by various factors affecting subjective accountability. Pope Francis wrote, then adding that there's no need for diocese or bishops' conferences to turn such pastoral charity into fixed norms or protocols, saying the issue could be dealt with on a case-by-case basis, because the life of the church runs on channels beyond norms. The allowance for pastoral ministers to bless same-sex gender couples implies that the church does indeed recognize that holy love can exist between same-gender couples, and the love of these couples mirrors the love of God. This is Francis de Bernardo, the executive director of the New Ways Ministry, said, those recognitions, while not completely what LGBTQ plus Catholics would want, are an enormous advance towards fuller and more comprehensive equality. Now, while this is a big step, there is a little bit of separate but equal
Mm.
going on here. But at
It
the
is the
same
Catholic
time,
Church. This is a huge step for the church, right?
yes, and
It's,
it,
again, incremental.
it's about as far as they can go
Mhm.
while still maintaining that initial position.
It will change someday, I think, but you're going to need another pope like Pope Francis to push it along, move the needle forward. So will it happen in the next 10 years? Doubtful. He is 87, so
Yeah.
who knows? The Cardinals might just, the next pope that gets elected, the Cardinals might just go for somebody who is conservative.
Usually, sometimes it swings, right?
Yeah.
Um,
But they do realize their numbers are dwindling. So in order to recruit more people, they need to be a little bit more inclusive.
mhm.
I'm not joking when I say that.
Yes,
That was not meant in jest.
And if you go to any of the inclusive churches, the members of the LGBT2S LGBT plus community are very, very, very involved members
Mhm.
and do a lot of good there. So it, it would be in the long-term interests of the church in order to be able to make that full change. But more recently, as you mentioned it's now formal. What's the change here over the past couple of days is that he has granted his formal approval. Now it's not just a letter to allowing Catholic priests to bless same-sex couples so long as they do not appear to endorse their marriage, making the church's most permissive decree yet on the issue of same-sex couples. This is according to NPR. The declaration published Monday in a new document called Fiducia Supplicans on the pastoral meaning of blessings marks a major departure for the Vatican, which only 2 years ago had said God, quote, cannot bless sin in a controversial 2021 decision about same-sex couples.
Mhm.
Monday's document was approved by Pope Francis. Still, the Vatican stressed that marriage remains exclusively between a man and a woman, and any priest granting a blessing to same-sex couples must avoid any form of confusion or scandal that could suggest otherwise. And this sort of follows a long path for him because it was 10 years ago that he was asked the question, and he famously replied, if someone is gay and searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge? So we've gone from who am I to judge in 2013 to we can actually bless their love.
That's 10 years. It's a big jump for the church. It really is. I mean, again, incremental movement. It's happening, but it's going to take a little bit longer. Here's something. This is interesting. Check this tweet out from this comment from Hugh. My mother-in-law was excommunicated for marrying a Protestant. That was in 1965. My parents got married in 1966. My dad, Protestant. My mother, Catholic. Within a 1-year time period, it switched from, you're going to be excommunicated. The church will kick you out for marrying a Protestant. And I'm like, could there be two more similar belief systems? Catholic and Protestant, what are the differences? Well, Protestant, you can get a divorce. You can also wear a condom. Pretty much it. Yes, there's a couple other ones, but for the most part, they're both Christian. They both believe in so it's just the silliness of it all. It's like, that's why, the whole Protestant Catholic battle in Ireland, I just don't understand it. I never will. Look, I grew up in Canada, so how am I ever going to understand that? But I do have a tweet here I want to show you from Ted Lieu.
Are we still on the same subject?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's on the same subject. This is from Ted Lieu, who is as somebody I've been following for a few years. Ted Lieu, is he congressman?
Yes.
Yes, he is a congressman. I couldn't remember if he was a congressman or senator. Thank you to Pope Francis for recognizing that we are all God's children. Being LGBTQ always has been a beautiful part of the magnificent creation that we call humanity. I don't know what your beliefs are. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, what to think, what to do. Some people believe, some don't. But I think that's a pretty nice sentiment from Ted.
Absolutely.
I think it's a nice statement, right? Period.
And this issue of blessings does go, a little further in that, for example, blessings may be granted to same-sex couples and other couples, quote, in irregular situations, such as divorced and remarried couples who are not granted annulments for their previous marriages, who,
Right.
quote, do not claim a I'm having trouble with that word, legitimation of their own status, but who beg that all that is true, good, and humanly valid in their lives and their relationships be enriched, healed, and elevated by the presence of the Holy Spirit. God never turns away anyone who approaches him. Ultimately, a blessing offers people a means to increase their trust in God. So that's the angle they're coming from there. It's a good move. Oh, sis,
It's Monty
somebody's
Python.
well, yeah, some Monty Python.
It's from
Every
Monty Python.
sperm is sacred.
Sacred.
Every sperm is good.
It's a funny movie. You should watch it.
Is that the meaning of life? That one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Meaning of life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man. So yeah, hey, it's a step.
It's a step.
It's a step. Now we can do one of two things, right? As the gay community, we can say, not good enough, not fast enough, not enough, and use our hand and smack the church across the face. Or we can say, okay, you're not quite there yet, but hey, way to go. Let's give you some positive encouragement, some positive reinforcement so that you can take the next step.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to choose to do positive reinforcement because you
Which is
got
the
to
right choice, I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, we're not there yet. We're definitely not there yet, but this is definitely better. Yes, at
This is the
least
thing.
if our love can be blessed, it makes it much harder to condemn us as individuals, right? Or to look at us as less than human or less than deserving. So, you take the win, you say
Yes.
thank you, you celebrate for a day, and then
Keep
you roll up
working.
your sleeves and you go back to work. But hey, the trend is your friend.
Mhm.
And between before 2013 and now, decent trend.
The needle has moved. You also got to remember the organization that you're trying to get to change their fundamental beliefs. Well, I don't belief system. Yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's the right term, but you're moving up
But
against.
fundamental ideology, definitely.
You're trying to move a mountain, basically.
Yeah.
It's centuries of belief, and you're trying to get them to come into the 21st century. Actually, the 20th century, let alone the 21st. It's
Huh?
it's incremental. It's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction. Keep moving forward. Is it enough? No, but you're not going to get it all overnight. You're just
Absolutely.
not. It's a victory. Celebrate it. Let's keep working.
Absolutely. And since we're speaking on the issue of people who might be a little judgy, as the Catholic Church is making a step, well, we have in New Brunswick and Saskatchewan some premiers who are wanting to punch down on trans children. Now, the premier of New Brunswick, Blaine Higgs, has been having a rather tough year.
Well, he brought it on himself.
Yeah, he did. He had it coming. He had it coming. He only has himself to blame. He punched down on trans kids and lost a couple of people in his caucus as a result of it. We talked about Dorothy Shepherd, I believe her name was, who wrote that little note right in the middle of a session of the legislature. And says, basically, I quit. I'm out of here. And then a couple other people followed. And then it looked like he was going to call election, then not call election, call election, not call election. He's all over the place on that one, but he has to call one sometime before October because that's his deadline. And then he did that pension thing the other day, what had everybody singing na 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 hey hey goodbye. Well, now it turns out he's got another bad mark on his record. According to the CBC, posted yesterday, New Brunswick's rapid journey from first to worst in preventing COVID deaths comes with few explanations. Months after celebrating COVID success, province posted Canada's highest per capita death rate.
Mm.
According to data released by Statistics Canada last month, New Brunswick recorded 657 deaths caused by COVID-19 in 2022. The agency calculated the mortality rate to be 80.9 COVID deaths per 100,000 residents for the year, which is the highest recorded by any Canadian province or territory since vaccines became available in 2021.
Wow.
It also eclipsed the death rates of 47 of 50 U.S. states in 2022.
Ooh,
So the
that's
worst
bad.
mortality rate in Canada and 47. So basically, in all of Canada and the United States, it's the fourth highest mortality rate out of about 420 million people.
420 million.
400 to 420 million people, if you add the population of both countries together, the fourth highest rate of COVID mortality.
Isn't there only like 300 million in the U.S.?
No, it's 300, at least 360.
No, it's not that high.
Oh yeah,
No.
yes.
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, it's 331.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so about, let's just say under 400 million.
Yeah.
No, well
I was like, what?
But that's a 2021 system. So 340 definitely, according to the Worldometer current.
There you go.
340. So about 380 million people. Comparatively in Canada, Alberta is the lowest at 34.4, but they also have the youngest age, average age population. So, and COVID now is affecting, the deaths are highest in the older community.
Well, and try and get an ambulance or an emergency department to be open in the province of Alberta.
But it's more than double Alberta. Next one is British Columbia at 41.9. So it's not quite double British Columbia, but pretty much the same. So, but Alberta, British Columbia, PEI, Ontario, and Nova Scotia all have one death by province per 100,000 population of below 50. Then Manitoba comes in at 52.4, Saskatchewan 56.5, Newfoundland and Labrador 56.7, and then Quebec at 70.7, and New Brunswick at 80.9. There's something going on with those two provinces for them to have such disproportionate numbers. And when you consider that all of them together have a higher COVID death rate in 2022 than in 2021 and in 2020, despite the fact that COVID is supposed to be over, it's not. That's alarming numbers. That's absolutely alarming numbers. In Alberta, right, the median age is 35. So it's no wonder. It's not because Danielle Smith is like particularly good. So when I keep telling you, kids, Justin Trudeau is not the problem. Our premiers are the problem. This is it right here. They are literally just letting us die. And because they decided that they figured out that they're not going to be able to stop this, they just stopped reporting regular numbers.
That was Trump's take. You don't report a case, you don't have a case.
So right now, just as much as COVID was a big story when it was happening, when we were at the crux of it, when we were all in not lockdown, but shelter at home, and we were giving supports and all of this. This story, the rate of people dying, because we were reporting on it daily, should still be a daily story, like it was back then, because more are dying now than is the case.
Yes,
and
and now we have vaccines, right? We have vaccines now, and people are still dying.
You don't hear about it.
No.
That's the provinces who've done that. They tell you make your own decisions, but they've taken away all information for you to make your own decision, and they don't talk about it. And because they don't talk about it, media's moved on. And then you get an article like this that pops up every now and then. But at this rate of death, it should be on the news every day like it was back then.
Yes, it should be.
They just made it disappear. They're hiding their own incompetence. They know they cannot help you, and they know they will not help you. So they just let you die, and then they hope nobody will notice, and nobody will get mad.
Kind of what's taking place here.
That is what's taking place. You got to call a thing a thing.
Yes, and this is what's taking place. And remember who the premiers are. Remember
New
who
Brunswick, Quebec,
they are. Ontario.
in the top 5. Saskatchewan, Manitoba. These are numbers pre Wabcanoe, and Nova Scotia. The only one that's not, and then Ontario, then PEI. So BC, NDP government among the lowest, and Newfoundland and Labrador, which is Liberal government, happens to be among the 3 highest.
Mm.
But everywhere else, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all conservative governments. Just letting you die.
Mm.
Letting your loved ones die. The
And they don't care.
premiers are the problem.
Mm-hmm. But Pierre Poilievre will turn around and blame the prime minister because,
Oh, no, he won't blame the prime minister. He doesn't even want to talk about this one.
Well, this is true. Yeah. He'll avoid this one altogether. Yes.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah. The less we talk about this one, the better. For him.
I have another thing I'd like to discuss with you this morning. We only got about 15 minutes left. This one is near and dear to me for a few different reasons. One being it was the area that I worked in for many, many years. And the other aspect is something that I deal with every day. I'm going to show you this tweet. Let me show you this quickly, and then we can move on.
Okay.
This is something that is, like I said, near and dear to my heart because I worked in construction for 29 years. UK builders go woke. Study finds 3/4 of tradesmen discuss their feelings with colleagues, while 2/3 shun the fried breakfast, and nearly half say they are history buffs. And the response to that is the tweet from Tom Jameson. Men talking to each other about their feelings, you ghoulish Fs, isn't woke, whatever that is. It's a brilliant thing that'll mean less suicides and less misery for more families, and they're allowed to read things too, other than shit newspapers. So please do F off. This is toxicity at its highest level. A national newspaper in the UK is making fun of millennial construction workers who are in touch with their feelings, discuss their mental health, like to read, meditate, and do yoga. They're making fun of them because it's not manly enough. I met lots of guys like that when I was working construction. Yes, they were not the most erudite of characters when they spoke, but they read a lot of books, and they did exercise, and they did talk about their feelings, especially the younger guys. And I will never forget, one day I was on a course, a safety course, I've taken so many of them, I couldn't even tell you how many. And the young lad sitting next to me who was just starting with the company that I was working with, who was 22 years of age, looks at me and says, well, I have, he says, I have Asperger's, but I also have, I want to say severe depression, but I could be wrong about that. And I was kind of like, we don't discuss such things. My generation, we didn't talk about it. And that was such an eye-opening moment for me, where I realized this younger generation is in touch with this. And they're not going to watch each other die and not say anything about it. They're going to raise awareness. They're going to talk about their feelings. They're going to talk about the things that they're going through. And they're going to save lives in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an eye-opening moment for me, but it taught me so much. And it helped me to get to where I am today, to be so open to discuss this. That's why I have a whole channel on YouTube about it.
Well,
literally is, that was my light bulb moment.
Like
that was the moment.
Kit Hughes has here. So all the things soldiers do in combat zones then, right?
Yeah. Like...
Just, yeah. I mean, it's like, why? Clearly clickbait.
Yes.
Clearly clickbait, because that's not woke. That's just being human.
Being human.
You have a feeling and you're sharing it with someone. Like this. People who like to work with their hands also enjoy history. or
Wow,
learning about the
imagine that.
world. They're full-rounded human beings. They're not just Neanderthals who can lift heavy things.
Yes.
It's
See,
like there's plenty of people in the trades who love art,
mhm.
who love opera, who love ballet, who love classical music, who love history, who like this. The fact that you practice a trade doesn't
It's your,
mean that
it's your job, not your identity.
right.
It's how you keep food on your table and a roof over your head, but they're going to make fun of people for that.
Well, look, my Beaver sweetie is a PhD
And he's
in green
taking
entry
carpentry.
carpentry.
Yeah. Right?
It's like well-rounded people.
Your partner, who is a doctor, is learning carpentry. It's called being well-rounded. Exactly, sir. And I have a short 1-minute video clip I want to show you, and then we can move on. This is a young man in the UK who really sums it up. And this is from a year ago, not even about yesterday's thing. That was printed yesterday in the Daily Mail. This is from a year ago. And this young man, well, he nails it. Just watch this 1-minute video.
Hi, I'm Jamie. I'm a G&B union rep in construction at HBC, Europe's largest construction site. And I've got a message for the Mail newspaper about your story calling us all woke. We work long hours in a manual job for long stretches away from our family and friends. We have the highest suicide rate among male occupations.
That's a fact.
It's not easy being away from your home and family, but I guess you wouldn't understand that. So if you think it's a laugh to take the mick out of us about yoga and meditation and other things like our feelings, speaking to each other about our mental health, you need to give your head a wobble and get in the real world. Mental health's massive and people need to speak to each other. Talking to each other saves lives. Forget your diverse culture wars and your woke narratives, and we'll carry on looking out for each other here on our mental health at HPC. And we'll carry on reading the proper newspaper as well, a working man's newspaper. And we absolutely love a breakfast, so get your facts right.
Boom.
Young man putting himself out there and letting people know we're not putting up with this garbage.
Jeez. Now I've got like you've made me that, and now I've got the choice of 2 Easter eggs. But as a result of this, I'll save this. Yeah, you know what? I'll save the second one for. I know which one I'm going to use. Here, there's 2 things that I have. I hope that we have time for them. The first one is just a quick little hit from me here, Mr. Grizzly. If you would want to put this up, because I mentioned this a couple times on the show, but I never had a visual to actually prove it. But Chris Young, who's the nice man who I met at the iPolitics event a couple of weeks ago when I went to Ottawa to cover it, for which I will have something, said if he was concerned about something, he would have risen in the House of Parliament with a private member's bill. In 20 years as a parliamentarian, what exactly has he accomplished? And he's talking about Pierre Poilievre, because he posted the Housing Health Act. Did you know Canada's net federal debt has doubled since 2015? And mine was like, yeah, net federal debt rose $127 billion when he was last in government. And we had 2 recessions. And he didn't have a once-in-a-century global pandemic and offered no substantive supports to citizens during the 2008 crash. 20 years of Pierre Poilievre. Right? And then somebody said, and you honestly believe he has any say over such matters as a junior minister? According to you, he was in power for 20 years. Hey, he's the one who said he was a housing minister. Just saying. And that's where, Mr. Young said if he was concerned about something, he would have risen in the House of Parliament with a private member's bill. In 20 years as a parliamentarian, what has he accomplished? And it was a big fat 0. If you got the visual up there.
Yeah, it's there.
Prior to becoming leader, he has sponsored a total of 6 bills. There has been one since. And if you look down from Open Parliament, these are all the bills that he's sponsored. The only one that passed, if you look at the 4th one on the top, all the way at the right, because you see all that color on the bottom. So when you look at all the other ones, that's how far each one of them has gone. So C383, dead after first reading. C414, dead after first reading. C456, dead after first reading. C350, dead after second reading. C395, dead after first reading. C356, dead after first reading. Nothing he's proposed got past second reading, except for C23, which was his Unfair Elections Act, which led to the undoing of his party's government. 20 years in government. That is all he has accomplished.
one thing that brought his government down.
That's all he's
And you
accomplished.
want this guy to run the country?
Eyes wide open, kids. It's like the numbers don't lie. 6 in 20 years. That's not even 1 every 3 years. He's literally just been sitting on the bench, smarming, collecting salary and benefits, and building his own public profile so he can get to this moment.
Mhm.
And all he has contributed over 20 years is toxicity, toxicity, toxicity.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. Nothing more. All right.
I'm putting a link in the chat here to a YouTube channel that some may find interesting. It's called the B1M. It's about construction, and the guy who founded this channel is a major advocate for mental health. And he started an organization to get more people in the trades and on construction sites talking about mental health because it is the highest suicide rate amongst male-dominated workplaces. I mean, there's a lot of women that work in the trades, and I've worked with a lot of them, but it's still heavily male-dominated. So it's called the B1M. It talks about construction, but it also talks about mental health because Fred, who worked in construction before he became a journalist, had mental health challenges. So I've reached out to him a couple of times. I'd love to be able to get him on here, but he's a busy man.
Mm-hmm.
But there, it's the B1M. Go check it out on YouTube. If you have any interest in engineering, construction, design, he covers the biggest projects on earth, and it's a fascinating channel. And he's very good at what he does, and he's very engaging.
Right. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, I hope we have enough time.
You got about 5 minutes.
We don't have enough time. All right.
Sorry, we went on a tangent. Well, you know what? No, we can go a little bit longer. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
There's what's going on in Quebec with regards to the English languages universities. As you know, the government of Quebec, which is completely flailing at the moment because right now, according to the latest polls, they're going to be dropping from the current seat count of 80-something down to 19 if an election was held today. So, of course, François Legault is digging into the cultural thing again. And so basically he's saying that it's Quebec universities in English that are making it so, or contributing to the fact that the French is declining in the city of Montreal, and therefore we must raise tuition rates really sky high and then take some of that money and redistribute it to the French language universities. Now, there are only 3 English language universities in all of the province of Quebec: Concordia in Montreal, McGill in Montreal, an over 200-year-old institution, and Bishop's University in Lennoxville. Right.
That's it.
That's it. That's all there is. So, and Bishop's University is a smaller university, which this would completely break them. Even McGill is talking about opening a satellite or remote campuses outside the provinces, outside the province now,
in order to stay afloat.
Enrollment is already down 20% at McGill and Concordia
could be,
because of this.
McGill, I say, you could comparatively, you could compare it to Harvard in this country. It's that much of a prestigious institution.
Yep. So it seems that the government has decided now that rather than increase tuition as high as it was, they had planned, it's only going to go up 30% for students from other Canadian provinces, from 9,000 to a minimum of 12,000 per year. The original proposal was an increase to 17,000. Oh, so magnanimous. So magnanimous. But, right, here it is. In addition to that, what they've done is that they have put a language requirement there. So basically, and this doesn't matter what your language is, right? You could be a francophone from another province who's coming. You're still getting dinged by this. So it has nothing to do specifically with French in one way.
Right.
Because if it was, they would ask you what your mother tongue is, or they would ask what your French proficiency is. And if that was the case, you wouldn't be charged the higher fee. Right. So this is really just trying to kneecap the English language universities. In addition to that, there is a requirement to reach level 5 or level 6, according to what that is in Quebec, with regard to their French language skills. So you are coming to McGill University. Yes. And now you must learn French. Now, you know that they also have this law that if you're moving to Quebec, you have to sort of like magically find a way, if you're an immigrant, to learn French within like 6 months somehow, or else,
Mhm.
you stop getting served in English. Quebec says it wants institutions to ensure that from 2025, 80% of new non-Quebec students enrolled in an English language program reach level 5 on the Quebec scale of French language proficiency by the end of their undergraduate degree. And she adds that the minister, Pascal Derry, adds that funding for universities could be cut if they do not reach this goal. Now, they have excluded Bishop's University from this target because it is so small, but not McGill and Concordia.
Mhm.
Now, what that means in real life is that, for example, by the time they graduate, let's say you don't speak French at all, and you're coming to do a 4-year degree in whatever. In addition to your 4-year degree, once you graduate, you need to be able to understand information from a neighbor about activities planned for a neighborhood party, a description in a TV news report of the effects of a flood, a colleague's story about an overseas trip, a friend's explanation of her decision to accept a part-time job offer, or how to follow a roommate's instructions for paying the rent with a mobile app. You should be able to speak well enough to reserve a hotel room over the phone and inquire about the services offered, describe a health issue to a nurse on the provincial health phone line, recount to a friend the high points of an outing, explain to a new work colleague the procedure for filing for overtime, or offer advice on the finding of accommodation to someone who has just arrived in Quebec. So this is the type of level of proficiency that you have to be able to do that, to get that. Now, everybody's going, oh, well, why would it be unreasonable for someone to learn French? And, how will it harm them? It doesn't. I mean, if you want to make the ability to learn French available, that's fine. But the way that they've done it is that in order to achieve that level of proficiency, you basically have to spend about 2 hours, 200 hours of instruction time in class, in addition to your 4-year degree, which makes it such that you have to come back for one more semester. So you have to pay another half a year's tuition, and your 4-year degree that you can get anywhere else in Canada takes you 4.5 years. And therefore enrollment drops. So it's not $17,000 per year, it's $12,000 per year, but you got to come back for another half semester. So you got to pay them another $6,000. And by the time you get there, if it starts in 2025, 2026, and after 4 years, there's probably a couple of tuition hikes that have happened by then. Now, why would anybody want to go somewhere when they have the choice of all the universities in the world where their 4-year degree now takes 4.5 years? And everybody else pays $9,000, but you got to pay $12,000. And you got to stay for an extra semester. We're not saying you can't, but we've set it up to make it very unattractive so that you won't.
That's the goal, right?
It's lawful, but awful.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll turn around going, what's so wrong about it? It's the fine print. It's always the fine print. Always the fine print. And hey, I'm a Franco-Ontarian.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with people learning French. And my personal belief is if you live in Ontario, if you want to be truly anywhere, if you want a truly bilingual Canada, if your home life is in English, you necessarily go to school in French. And if your home life's in French, you necessarily go to school in English. And within a generation, we will have a truly bilingual country. I do not understand why we do it the way we do it now. I got to go to French language school in Ontario because my mother went to French language school because of hereditary rights.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and you got all these people that are tripping over themselves to get into a good immersion program. Why not just make access to full French education to them? Oh, no, we can't have that. Flip it around. How do you think I became so bilingual? Because I went to a French school, 8 to 9 hours a day of my life was immersed in French. So even though it was English at home, you learned it. That should be the standard. So I have no problem with making people want to learn French. But you can't make it more expensive for them than anyone else, and you can't make it take longer. That's just, and you certainly, if you want that as a government, then you need to fund those universities in order to be able to do it, not remove their funding, not charge them more, and then take that money that's being charged additional and then redistribute it to Francophone universities who don't have that requirement. Because everybody there already speaks French.
Yeah. Another stupid.
Like, how much economic activity is generated for Quebec? How about your reputation on an international level?
Mhm.
You look parochial on the world stage. It no longer, there's only so long François Legault is going to be able to coast on Quebec is one of the most tolerant places in North America. It may be, the Québécois may be, but you, sir, are not.
Mm.
You, that saying, so I've met Mr. Kennedy, and you, sir, are no John Kennedy. It's like, I've met Québécois, Monsieur Legault. You do not represent them. You do not represent the Québécois people I know. I'm just saying, that's just, you're being weird, Premier. Why are you being weird? Hey,
I don't know.
Seriously.
I really don't.
El tweet, Deniaise. Sorry. I had to go back to my Franco-Ontarian roots there. I just basically said, hey, twit. Smarten up. But in street French. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do.
Il est un bouffon. He's a clown. Exactly. All right, kits and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Yeah, Kit PNC. I'm bilingual, but not by strong arming. It's forcing someone to do something ever productive. Right?
No, it's not.
Right?
It's not.
I'm a proud Franco-Ontarian because I fell in love with the language and the culture. But I was put in an environment that, I learned that to fall in love with the language and the culture. Not, it's like, you must, So my mother took me to school one day, kindergarten. And the principal said, ma'am, your son doesn't speak French well enough for us to let him in. He'll never get through kindergarten. All 5'3" of her, 120 pounds, just turned on her heels and said, isn't it your job to teach him? And then she was gone as quick. And she tried to catch her. She's like, you got to take, and she was gone. So they were stuck with me. So they taught me. That's how you do it. She just dropped me off and said, isn't it your job to teach him French? And she was gone.
Well, that's the thing.
Hey. Just put them in their place. So, and my life, other than the gift of life, the gift of French is the most beautiful gift I have ever been given. Because there's a whole new world that's been open to me. And trust me, it has helped me immensely in my career. I mean, I was a translator for a while. It's like, I literally made my living off French. So, you don't have to sell people on the idea that more languages is a good thing anymore. It's 2023. We live in a global world. Just make it easy for them to learn it. Don't make it a punishment.
Go to Europe where everybody speaks. Most people in Europe speak multiple languages.
Yeah, just don't make it a punishment. All right. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you, because sharing is caring. Please let your peeps and poops know all about us. And if you would like to not miss an episode, you go to our pod page, sponsored by the Ray Girl. That is podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And that's where you will find the emergency hydration fund, where you can keep us moist by making sure that we have beer and coffee and hot chocolate and Caesars and all that good stuff that helps fuel this show, or as we call them, staff.
I'm staff.
Yes, but I can't drink you. So
No.
no, exactly. So
I want to drink your blood.
no. All right. Also,
Appropriate with the whole Romanian partner.
yes. They're actually, the family actually is from Transylvania.
Yes, I know.
Region. So, although my sweetie was born in Bucharest specifically, but going down to the roots. Remember, if you like to subscribe to stuff, the pod page, like we said, once we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it'll come directly to you. And if you like to subscribe to stuff, make like Kit Lane and go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, which really jumped. We had like 500 the other day, and now we're like, last time I looked was like 519. It just went boom. So whoever, I'm thinking that's probably due to Laura Babcock maybe promoting. That must be her people coming on. Because yesterday with all those joins as well, right? Yeah. But thank you so much. If you're going there, like, share, subscribe, make like it Elaine, and help us get to 1,000. We would really appreciate that. And right over there for Mr. Grizzly's head, that was our coffee fund there. That's where you find our hydration fund. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/ Eager Beaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. Took me a second there. I was about to give the email address. And if you go there, you can leave us a little tip. But remember, because it is the season, only after you've taken care of all your gifts, only after you have done something nice for yourself, and you've done something good for the world, then if you have a couple of toonies left over, we would be more than happy to have them. And you kids have been very generous to us this year. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. What else do we have? Our email is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Please write to us. Let us know what it is that you like about the show, what you think we could do better. Send us suggestions, topics. We love it. If you got compliments, criticisms, as long as they're constructive, we're, good, bad, or ugly, we want to hear it. So please do let us know. We love hearing from you there. And if you're listening on Apple, please give us some reviews, stars. We like them. 5 is a beautiful number, but hey, you give us what you think we deserve. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind and gentle with yourself. And I'm seeing in the chat that some of our kids are showing us their French proficiency, mostly in the swear words that they know. But hey, French is French. We'll take it. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us, please?
I don't know if it's not really words of wisdoms, but wisdoms. I got some of that fancy book learning. Got my grade 12s. This isn't words of wisdom, but it is good news.
Oh, please.
So you know how because we had to change our start and ending theme music due to copyright claims and the inability to monetize. And then I put some new stuff up, and I kept getting copyright claims against that. Well, I disputed it, and look what happened. Hi, True North Eager Beaver Media. Good news. After reviewing your dispute, Epidemic Sound has decided to release their copyright claim on your YouTube video.
Yay.
I've gotten a few of these notifications. It's because I said to them, I disputed it and said, I paid for this on a professional account that licenses the music for me to use it for this express purpose. We won.
Victory.
So it's not wisdom, but it's good news.
It is very, very good news. And like I said, we have...
we will have new music coming, but in the meantime, this is what we'll be using. And I don't want them to restrict our ability to generate revenue off of it. So,
absolutely. And a friend of mine is in the process of doing something. He's got most of the countdown music done. and then hopefully we'll get to an actual opening theme. All right,
Cool.
Mr. Grizzly, please roll the credits.
Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
All right. When we say democracy is something that you do, and when you say you talk about Generation Z, and you say that the kids are all right, I want to introduce you to a young man in the United States who goes by the name of Xander Moritz. He was
I saw
named
this.
a 2022 LGBTQ Nation Hero of the Year, and he had been targeted by a lady named Bridget Ziegler, who you may have heard is one of the co-founders of a group in the U.S. called Moms for Liberty.
And they are against liberty.
And they're against liberty. He drew first media attention in 2022 when his high school principal told the out senior class president of Pineview School for the Gifted in Osprey, Florida, that any mention of LGBTQ plus issues, advocacy, or sexual orientation in his valedictorian speech to graduating seniors would result in his microphone being silenced. So instead, he delivered a thinly veiled graduation speech using his curly hair as an analogy for his sexual identity. And the speech went viral after it was posted on YouTube. And I won't be able to post on the chat while the time that we're here what those links are, but I will post it on our Twitter feed. So come and take a look at that. He was then invited to deliver his original speech before the Department of Education, and additionally, he was one of several plaintiffs in a lawsuit challenging Florida's Don't Say Gay law. And in March 2022, organized a headline-making student walkout. Ziegler, on the other hand, had championed Florida's Don't Say Gay bill and is the leader of the so-called parents' rights movement. And she basically punched down on him for having done that. Well, now it turns out that Bridget Ziegler's husband has been charged with rape. Or they're not charged, but there have been rape allegations against her husband,
Right.
who's the chair of the Florida GOP. His name is Christian Ziegler. And it has since come out that Bridget Ziegler has admitted that she, her husband, and her husband's accuser engaged in a consensual threesome over a year ago.
Yeah, it's consensual. Who cares? They're adults, right?
But threesome, which means with the accuser, who's a woman, which means that for a moment, she had some gay sex.
Curious how that worked out.
So this young man attended a school board meeting and said this, and it is beautiful. It is clear, it is coherent, it is factual, it is logical, there is no embellishment, and he stayed on topic. And it is a thing of beauty, kids. Please enjoy.
Bridget, our first ever interaction was when you retweeted a hate article about me from The Nationalist while I was a Sarasota County school student. You are a reminder that some people view politics as a service to others, while some view it as an opportunity for themselves. On this board, you have spent public funds that could have been used to increase teacher pay, to change our district lines for political gain, remove books from schools, target trans and queer children, erase Black history, and elevate your political career, all while sending your children to private schools because you do not believe in the public school system that you've been leading. My question is, why doesn't an elected official using our money to harm our students and our teachers for her gain seem to matter as much to us as her having a threesome does? Bridget Ziegler, you do not deserve to be on the Sarasota County School Board. but you do not deserve to be removed from it for having a threesome. That defeats the lesson we've been trying to teach you, which is that a politician's job is to serve their community, not to police personal lives. So, to be extra clear, Bridget, you deserve to be fired from your job because you are terrible at your job, not because you had sex with a woman.
And the sweatshirt he's wearing says, "You give me the ich."
Yeah.
The kids are all right.
Yeah, they
The
are.
kids are all right. Great.
They really
Have
are.
a good day, kids.
See ya.